In this presentation, we're going to review the Trend and Alarm Historian application, which is an application which can host trend and alarm windows to connect to local and remote OPC systems data sources. The Trend and Alarms Historian application can be launched from the program group opcsystems.net and select the shortcut Trends and Alarms. With this application, you'll be able to define trend and alarm configurations, as well as pen groups which can be dynamically added to the existing trend windows, in allowing you to specify names to particular groups of trend points. Let's start with the trend window. If we select the Add button under the Trend panel, we can specify a window name. We can specify pens to include in this trend window. We would select the local host to define the pens from a local service. If we want to connect to a remote service, we'd put in an IP address or network node name here. I'll select the local ramp signal, and then I'll either use the Add Pen button here at the bottom, or I can right-click to select Add Trend Point. We can then set up any of the pen properties here as far as description, maybe the y-axis range high and range low. Those are useful if they're using the scaling type of percent pen ranges. You can also specify the chart type to be either a line, area, polar, or radar chart. Under the time frame, you can specify the default x-axis time and also the sample rate. That can be sub-second if you want it to be. The combination of time frame and sample rate must be no more than 3,600 samples. Under the y-axis property, there's the commonly used property, which is scale mode. That defaults to percent of pen ranges, which means each individual pen has its own range on the y-axis, and they all share the common y-axis. You can also do stack chart mode, which multiple pens can be defined upon multiple y-axis, and to define which y-axis is used, under the pens property, you will find the stacked chart number. That corresponds to using any of the stacked chart types, like absolute percent of pen ranges or auto scale. Under the views, you can also put in a 3D perspective depth. The default is a perspective depth of 0, so we're going to be running in 2D mode at all times. We'll click OK when we define the properties of the trend window and select Activate. You notice I've probably taken most of the defaults, so I could just add the trend window and added it to the workspace. Now the trend window is free floating, so I can move it and position it anywhere on the desktop that I would like it to be. You can also dock it within the main workspace, and it will arrange itself nicely however you would like it to appear. If we move down to the pens group, the pens is a selection where you can specify pen groups. Let's add a pen group. You can give it a name of what you would like. I'm going to call this one called All. You can select the node where the data source is going to come from, so you can then browse for those points. Notice I can also browse directly for OPC items coming from OPC servers using direct OPC if I want to. So the only tags that we show up here are either direct OPC items or the tags that have the trend point option enabled under configure tags. So if you don't see the tag that you want to trend here in this list, go back to configure tags and enable the trend point for that particular tag. So we'll just add these 3 tags to the pen list, and then I can optionally specify individual attributes for each of the pens that I want to in the right window of the properties. I'll click OK, and now if I wanted to duplicate that same group to a different name, I can click Edit, and I'll call this one New Group. And then I can optionally go in and modify the group. Maybe I don't want to include the random in this list, so I'll delete that particular one, click OK, and now I have a new group of pens defined there. Now to use the pens, all we need to do is just select the pen group and just drag it into any one of the windows that we have in the workspace. Let me actually go back to the trends. Let's create a new window that has no pens defined at all. Let me activate that trend window. And now back in the pens group, what we can do is we can select the all pens group and just hold down the left mouse key and drag the pen list into the trend window that I want the pens to appear. And what will happen is that trend window will now take on those particular pens. I can also take the same list of pen groups and drag it into the first window, and it will replace the pen configuration there. So this is a quick way to just have maybe one trend window in your application where you can just drag and drop the pens that you want to appear in that particular trend window itself. Under the Alarms panel, we can specify to look at alarm windows, and the common properties of an alarm window. Under the network nodes, you can specify what remote service you want to monitor. If it's just always going to be the local OPC system service, you just leave it at the default with localhost. And here's your list of nodes right here. And under the filter is another common thing, to filter alarms to look at only alarms from a particular group or a particular alarm type or priority. Priority is another great way to filter alarms upon. Go ahead and click OK. We're taking all the defaults there. We'll activate that alarm window. What we'll do with this alarm window is we will dock this one at the bottom. We'll make this trend window maybe free floating off to the right. Change this size of the lower alarm window. And now we'll save that entire configuration. Everything we have added to the configuration list, and also the current view states of each of these trend windows, we're going to save. And one more thing I want to show that you can persist as well is if you make a modification to any of the attributes during runtime of the trend window or alarm window. Let's say if I come in here and select right click to select modify pens, I'll come in and add one more additional pen called maybe tank level, and let's add that to the list of points. Now this trend window has tank level as one of its points that is defined for it, and so now when I save this configuration, that change will be also saved with that real window. The other thing that's saved with the configuration is the location of where the application was running as well. So now let's go back to the program group and let's start it again. The Trends and Alarms application. And what I'll do is I'll select File, Open, and I will open up the configuration. Notice that the main application window changed to where it was last positioned, and it's loading up the windows that have been activated already, as well as loading in the configurations of the trend, alarm, and the pen groups. So we see the trend window off to the right is to its particular size and location at which we last saved it, as well as the docked windows of the trend window and alarm window. Now docking panels is very easy. You can choose to either dock them within the sub area or within the main area. That's up to you of however you would like them to be docked. If you have any more questions about the Trend and Alarms Historian application, you can contact us directly at support@opcsystems.com. You can find our phone numbers at the website opcsystems.com and select Contact Us. There you'll find our toll-free number as 800-533-4994, and outside of the U.S. it's 1-303-679-0898. Under the training page you'll find other videos about our other product. The really good one to start with is the Basic Start training video. That demonstrates using the trend and alarm controls within a Windows Presentation Foundation application. We also have trend and alarm controls for web-based applications as well. And of course a full suite of HMI products, data logging, alarm logging, recipes, reports, routing, all functionality built in the full OPCsystems.net suite. So the product features that we've demonstrated today are the OPC Trend.net and OPC Alarm.net. So this container is free for you to use that we just demonstrated in this video if you buy either of those product features or both of them.